Hello guys. Today I am going to review the new Pula Anvil114. So, let's begin. Pula didn't skimp on accessories, and for good reason, as I'll explain later in the review. Inside the box, you'll find a wide variety of silicone tips, only silicone, no memory foam tips, for types to be precise. There's also a modular cable with interchangeable connectors for 2.5 millimeters, 3.5 millimeters, and 4.4 millimeters terminations, and a green carrying case, even though the IMs themselves are blue. Don't ask why. And of course, the IMs themselves are included, with a unique twist. Their colors aren't identical, and each pair comes in different, varied colors. The cable is very comfortable. It doesn't tangle, and it doesn't have memory retention, which is super convenient. I'd even say it's the highest quality cable I've tried so far. There are clear markers for the right and left sides on the cable, and the IMs themselves are also marked. The cable allows for swapping connector heads for different terminations as mentioned earlier, and it's implemented very well. The mechanism for rotating and detaching the connector head feels smooth and easy to use, not at all stiff. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the sliding ring at the cable split. It's overly stiff to the point of being almost impossible to adjust. At times, I felt like I was going to tear the cable trying to move that ring. This is an area that needs improvement, as it's not a pleasant experience. By comparison, the S12 cable's ring didn't grip the cable very tightly, but it was much easier to adjust, and it held the cable in place just fine. The carrying case included by Pula feels very premium and comfortable to use. It's not one of those that you can slip into your pocket. It's quite large, but that size allows you to store extra silicone tips and even a dongle, which is very convenient. What I didn't understand, though, is why they included a green carrying case when the primary color of the IMs is blue. It might sound like a nitpick complaint, but I expected something that would match the IM's color better. That said, the case is far too high quality for this price range anyway, and it gets the job done. Overall, it's an excellent accessory. Remember when I mentioned Pula's generosity with silicone tips? Well, there's a wide variety of silicone tips included, and it's no coincidence. Finding comfortable silicone tips for these IMs is no easy task, despite the extensive selection provided in the box. The nozzle is very wide, and the IMs themselves sit quite deep in the ear, making it challenging to find a suitable pair of tips. It took me quite some time to find the ones that fit my ears well. Many other reviewers, and even Pula themselves, recommended purchasing third-party silicone tips despite the broad selection they include. After much trial and error, I finally found the pair that worked well for me. Overall, I'm satisfied with the variety offered, and that's an important aspect. Pula also notes that without a proper seal, the bone conduction driver won't perform as intended, so keep that in mind. The IMs are made of plastic, but they don't feel cheap in any way. When pressing on them, you can feel subtle vibrations and hear faint sounds, something I've never experienced with any other IM. I'm not sure if the bone conduction driver is responsible for this, or if it's due to their design, but it's a first for me. The color is unique, and each side has a different finish. The company claims they use wood engraving, which gives each IM a distinctive texture. I must say they look stunning, almost like jewelry. I absolutely love their appearance. That said, the IMs are quite tall. This doesn't affect their comfort, but if you're not a fan of IMs that stick out from your ears, these might not be for you. They do protrude significantly. Weight-wise, they're relatively light, and I didn't feel any heaviness or pressure on my ears. Once I found silicone tips that fit me, I could barely feel them in my ears, which is essential for long listening sessions in my opinion. Which again, it is not an easy task and take time for tip rolling. I must say, when I used them for long, it did not fit me well. So if you have small ears, this is something to consider. Do yourself a favor and buy yourself soft ear dips if you're getting them. The tuning of the Pula Anvil114 is relatively balanced, with a clear emphasis on the mid-range, which feels present and full. Regarding the bone conduction driver, honestly, I'm not sure how much it truly impacts the sound. Often, I felt like I was feeling the music rather than strictly hearing it. The driver does produce vibrations, but it's hard to pinpoint how significantly they influence the sound. Returning to other IMs, I did notice the absence of this effect, though not overwhelmingly so. The sub-bass is understated and only noticeable when emphasized in the track. Sometimes it feels missing altogether, which was disappointing in many songs I listened to. On the other hand, in genres like lo-fi, where low frequencies are prominent, the sub-bass showed up clearly. The bass quality itself is clean and quick, which is equally important. If you prioritize quality over quantity in sub-bass, these might suit you. Personally, I found the lack of sub-bass presence to be a drawback. Unlike the sub-bass, the mid-bass feels more present. You can feel its impact, though it's not overwhelming. It's well-textured and enjoyable, albeit slightly recessed compared to other frequency ranges. Additionally, the bass is fast, allowing subtle nuances to come through. The mid-bass feels dynamic, not like a monotone thump, but rather a spectrum of tones. So, if you value bass quality over sheer volume, this IM delivers nicely. Here's where the magic happens. If I had to describe the mids in one word, full. Every vocal, every instrument, everything in the mid-range feels alive and textured. No other IM I've tried quite delivers this experience. Instruments like guitars reveal the intricacies of the strumming, pianos sound distinct and enjoyable, and violins have a body and depth that make them stand out. I'm not sure if the bone conduction driver contributes to this, but the result is incredibly satisfying. In pop songs with many vocal elements, I had a blast. The voices felt vibrant, deep, and never blended into one another. If you're looking for IMs with a strong emphasis on the mid-range, vocals, most instruments, etc., these will likely be a fantastic fit. The treble feels somewhat lacking. It's gentle, balanced, and present but not prominent. In electronic music, instruments like synthesizers felt subdued, and high-pitched vocals also seemed underrepresented. I would have appreciated more treble to capture the subtle details that could elevate these IMs further, especially in conjunction with their excellent mid-range performance. If you're sensitive to treble, this might work for you. However, coming from the Letshuoer S12, I found the lack of treble here noticeable. While I didn't expect the same level of treble as in the S12, a bit more would have gone a long way. It's definitely an area where these IMs could improve. Whether due to the bone conduction driver or the design, the technical capabilities of the Pula Anvil are impressive. The soundstage is vast. There's a lot of space between instruments and vocals, and it never feels cramped or intimate. The separation between elements is also excellent. No frequency overpowers another, and everything is presented cleanly. The imaging is precise, allowing you to pinpoint the location of elements in the tracks. Detail retrieval is strong, with each element feeling rich and textured. This is a level of performance I haven't experienced with many other IMs. Overall, Pula has clearly succeeded in this area. Compared to the Letshuoer S12, the Anvil feels slightly less bass-heavy, and the treble is significantly more subdued. Personally, I find the imaging on the S12 a bit better. In terms of comfort, I prefer the S12 due to its smaller metallic build. However, the Anvil has a more expansive soundstage, with more texture and life in the mid-range. The S12 feels more analytical, whereas the Anvil offers more richness and detail. For genres like electronic music or metal, I would personally go with the S12. But for music featuring a lot of vocals and acoustic instruments, I find the Anvil to be the better choice. Overall, I feel the Anvil is a significant upgrade over the S12 in terms of technical performance and detail. My feelings about these IMs are somewhat divided. They're not bad, quite balanced, with life in the vocals and mid-range, but the lack of treble and bass is fairly noticeable. For the first time, I found myself needing to use an equalizer to truly enjoy the sound, instead of just experimenting with something else. These aren't the easiest to recommend without trying them first, as they might not suit everyone's taste. If you like heavy bass and treble, these may not be for you. But if you value quality bass, not necessarily quantity, and prefer a balanced tuning, they could work well. The technical performance, especially the soundstage, really impressed me. It's expansive, which adds a lot to the listening experience. I'm not suggesting you need to EQ them, but it's something I personally enjoyed, and they responded quite well to it. As for the bone conduction driver, it's hard to say if it makes a significant difference. While I felt vibrations, I didn't feel it was particularly impactful, though when switching to other IMs, I noticed the absence of these vibrations. The vibrations are subtle, like placing your finger on a vibrating phone speaker, but it's not the most pronounced effect. One challenge to note is finding compatible ear tips. The nozzle is wide, and the IMs sit quite deep in the ear, making it tough to find a comfortable fit with the included silicone tips. Personally, I didn't immediately fall in love with these the way I did with the S12, which makes it harder for me to wholeheartedly recommend them without a trial period. I hope my review helps you decide whether these will be a good fit for you. I hope you liked my review. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to see more reviews like this. Goodbye.